inside the place. It's DJ Q and you're locked into Point Blank. This is how I put together my track, Time to Shine, with some of the techniques that you can learn right here at Point Blank. Get ready for some heavy bass lines. The inspiration behind this track is simple. I just wanted to make a wicked vocal track with a heavy bass line. At the moment, a lot of people are just playing a lot of heavy bass stuff without playing the vocal stuff. I've noticed when I play vocal tracks, a lot of people enjoy them, so I thought I'd put another vocal track out there for people to enjoy. My current studio setup is basically MacBook Pro, going through a UAD Apollo Twin sound card. I've got 2 Octo satellites, which runs all the plugins. I've got a few hardware synths. I've got Supernova, JV1080, Microcog, Pace Station, TR8, which I use a lot. Native Instruments, a 49 key controller. Monitors, Adam A77Xs. So yeah, I started off with the main melody, a synth called Wavetable in the new Ableton Live 10. It's got a little pattern there. I tried recreating like an old school garage kind of pattern, one that was very distinctive. I layered it up with some vibes from the M1 synth. Then after that was the chords. Now I did the chords in Sylenth, just a preset in Sylenth called Big Synth. It's one of the keys in there. Some reverb on that. And then I found the vocal in a sample pack, so here it is. Originally the vocals was really dry, so I put the CLA vocal preset on it and just messed about with that a bit. There's a Drama S73 synth by Soft Tube that just brings up the top end a little bit. And then there's the Isotope Nectar that gives it a bit more body. And then I imaged it with the Ozone Imager. So yeah, I'll play the intro for the track. So there's the chords, the main pattern, and there's the drums filtering in as well, with just a normal filter from Live, the auto filter. And as you can hear as well, there's some vocal chops in there. I basically recorded the vocals into a separate track and then chopped where I wanted the chops to be. I'll play how it was. Now I kind of got the inspiration from like Todd Edwards and that old school garage style of chopping. So those are vocal chops. It's coming to the breakdown now. And I just layered it up with the synth in the background. And there's some automation on that synth with the filter frequency and the reverb. So I'll play it on its own. And as it gets close to the drop, the reverb is just a bit more but subtly, so it's not too harsh. So I'll play that within where it sits in the track. I've got some strings that I recorded in as well, just to add some depth to the intro as well, just before the drop. Got a sub bass in there as well, just before it drops into this. I'll kind of show you how I put the bass lines together as well. The main sound in that, well, all the sounds really are Wavetable, the new synth in Ableton Live. I'm a big fan of that. Just simply because it's simple, but it does the job. So that's where the sound comes from. So each track, I just edited the bass slightly. So this is the same sound here as the main drop without oscillator 2 enabled. Then there's a few filler sounds as well, just to fill in the gaps. There's a track there, that sound's got an LFO on it. The vocals come back in here with a different bass line, which is in Serum. It's typical bass line, walk bass. And that's leading up to the second breakdown. So I cut the drums out here with the bass line and just had the instruments and the vocals for the first 8 bars, and then I chopped the vocals up and added the filter. But not just any filter, it's probably my favourite filter at the moment. It's by Dada Life, called Endless Smile. As you can see, as the filter gets more intense, the smile gets more intense as well. And I think that smile replicates how you actually feel when you hear that filter, and how you feel when you see it, because it makes me happy every time I see it. So this is the second drop. It's just adding like variations in the beats a little bit. I'll show you the drums in a bit more depth shortly as well. But what I'll do, I'll actually show you the vocal chops while we're in here. I just played them in with the MIDI keyboard. I just layered each sample across a different key in the keyboard and quantized it so it sits right on the beat. But in terms of the drums, I've got there's the kick, there is 3 claps, 2 rim shots, and about 6 hi-hat tracks. I've got 4 open hi-hats layered on top of each other and a rolling hat from the TR8 hardware synth that I recorded in. Now with the hi-hats, I had to group each of them together and cut the low end out. I also added a glue compressor as well. That was because without that there was clashing, because it was all together sitting at like the similar frequencies, so I cut out the 2 frequencies that were giving problems, and it sounds a lot better and a lot warmer in the mix. And one good thing about the new Ableton Live is it's got groups in groups. So what I usually do is group all my percussion together, keep the kicks separate, and then I used to have to record everything separate and then regroup it because I couldn't put groups inside groups. But now I've got the percussion grouped into one group, and then the kick grouped together with that, and I've even got a separate group for the hi-hats as well. So, right, in the intro I said I recorded some strings. Here they are. I actually got those strings from a different DAW and wired the DAW into this. Added some mid to that string with some reverb just to give it that live sort of feel. In terms of structure for the song, there's the drop, 16 bars where it's just bass lines and vocal chops, and then another 16 of a full vocal with verse and chorus. And in this part, it's got the second bass line along with the main melody again. And I think that main melody complements the vocals. It's not too overpowering, it still gives the vocals a lot of space to breathe. I've also got a square melody, which comes in at the last 8. Just reminiscent of like really old school bass line. That's the kind of feel that I wanted to replicate in this track. Because I think with bass line now, there's not a lot of vocal tracks that still have that energy, and I wanted to bring that with this track. So here's the breakdown before the drop. I filtered out the vocals and brought another vocal chop in and filtered that in. bassline sounds are just the same as the first drop, but just different patterns and melodies. Now what I tend to do is I kind of mix while I'm making the track initially with like EQs and stuff like that. So as I said, there's EQs on pretty much most of the stuff. We've got another EQ over the whole set of bass lines. On the mid and high ends, that just makes it cut through a bit more, but not too much, so I didn't want it to clash with anything else in the track. There's also EQs on some of the instruments in the intros and outros as well. It's a nice little sound here from the Arturia plugin set. And I tend to use this on a lot of tracks that I make, man, but I use them differently every time, so you probably can't even tell that I've used the same synth sometimes. That's just got a lot of high-end EQ on, and I've cut the low ends as well. I tend to do that with a lot of the sounds, especially the melody and vocal sounds, just to give the kick drum space to breathe along with the bass line. We've got a string here as well. It's just about subtly layering it without overpowering. Just sub bass as well, just there. Some build sounds, just to get you ready for the second drop. There's quite a lot of automation on this as well. Something I tend to do in a lot of tracks. See, the synth trumpet has got its own 2 automation lines, along with the main melody as well, and the vocals. And I think there's even some at the beginning on the drums as well. Yeah, there is. That there just gives a build up. You can hear it filtering in. I think it gives the intro a bit more impact as well. The drums don't come in straight away. I wanted the main melody to be the most distinct part alongside the vocals, so that's why I gave it its own breathing space at the beginning. I think we've got some more chords somewhere as well. This is in the background. There's also a string as well, tape strings from Omnisphere, which I like the sound of as well, because it reminds me of like the old school sticky garage tracks, and because there was a similar synth that was a preset in Reason, a lot of bassline producers tended to use that as well, and I think that sound it just brings that old school vibe, man. There's a little drum roll in here that I kind of put together myself. If you hear it on its own, I'll show you how I did it quickly. It's got a snare and just copied the snare parts. I tend to do this in a lot of tracks as well, just to give it a bit of uniqueness. Let's put that together. So there's one fade there. Another fade there, and I kind of flip the fade on that side so it sounds like this. Here's how it sounds in the track. In terms of mixing, I tend to mix as I'm going along, but one thing that I find helps is if once I've finished the track, I just split everything up. So I've got vocals on one group, drums on the other group, separate like the mid instruments and the high instruments, stuff like the main melody, because that is together. There's 2 sounds merged together. I just group that as one. I've got the strings, got like your effects sounds, like your builds, your impacts and your rises and stuff like that on one group. Sub bass lines other effects, strings, and I've got all my bass lines grouped, and then I just export each track individually, bring them back into the DAW, and then edit it a bit more in terms of like mixing wise, and taking out audio tails as well, because sometimes on tracks you get a lot of audio tails playing over each other. It kind of makes the track muffled, so I get rid of some of them as well. One thing I would say when mixing is, try separate, so you got drums, try separate the kick and the rest of the percussion. So what I do is, I'll solo my drums. So you got the drums playing. I've got all the sounds, apart from the kick, on one group. And what I've done with that is, I've cut the frequency at about 100, and that's just to give the kick more space to breathe. And also on the main drum track, I've got it running through a drum bus. This is another new synth in Live 10, which I'm really a fan of. It adds a lot of difference to the drums that I play without and with. This is without the drum bus, and this is with the drum bus. It just adds a lot more body to the drums and brings out the kick more as well. And there's a lot of stuff you can do to it, like there's the crunch. But I tend to have the crunch on 0, just so the drums sound a bit more clearer and they're not too overpowering. So yeah, one thing I'd say as well is the kick drum and the bass line, try get those hitting at separate frequencies so they don't clash as well. So I've got the kick drum is kicking there, but then the main bass stuff is kicking around. This is around the drums. One way you can do that is there's a plugin called Track Spacer. So basically you load Track Spacer up. It's by the waist right there. And then you sidechain the kick into this plugin here. So that what it basically does is it cuts out all the frequencies where the kicks are hitting, so your drums and your bass never clash. That's a wicked plugin. Other mixing tips, I'd say keep the channel. Well, I don't know if this is the proper way to do it, but it's the way I found works for me. Keep the channels pretty much as loud as you can without clipping, but then turn the gain down on the master. And that's how I find that I get a loud sound, especially being a club DJ. The tracks really cut through in the clubs as well. So to do that, I've used just a simple utility plugin. What you can do as well, there's a nice little feature on this called bass mono. So basically, all the frequencies below 120 Hz will be in mono on your master channel if you prefer. That's good for in clubs as well. So yeah, I tend to mix like this and then send it off to mastering when it's ready. I did used to master a lot of my tracks myself, but then I found that while I was struggling to get it sounding right, I might as well send it to someone who's actually a professional at doing that job, because then I get it mastered to the best it can be done, rather than me trying to do it as well as I can do it. I might as well get professionals to do it. It's like similar to using effects presets as well. It's like those presets have been put together by professionals, so there's nothing wrong with using them as well. So there you have it. That's how I made my brand new single, Time to Shine, which is out now.